Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey here. We're going to be breaking down the Prefontaine Classic from earlier today. The women's 100 meter is what we're going to be focusing on. And this was definitely the most entertaining race, the race that definitely had the most big stars, big names that were competing. And it was very interesting to see. And probably most of you guys know that Sha'carri Richardson ended up winning this race with a 10:83. But there's a lot of important things that I think we wanted to be able to see going into this. And for many of these women, this is the first race we have. Elaine Thompson, she won the 100 meter two times in the past in the Olympics. So it was interesting to be able to see her. We had Julian Alfred, who won the world indoor 60 meters. We have Daryl Nita, who just beat Sha'carri Richardson a couple weeks ago in the 200. Obviously, we have Sha'carri. We have also Morey, who's one of the most well-respected women sprinters in the world. Denny Asher-Smith, same type of thing. Melissa Jefferson, 2022 U.S. champion. So there's a lot of really great stars, a lot of great women that were competing here today, with Sha'carri being one of the most interesting to be able to watch coming into the year or coming into the track and field season. We're just about a month away from the U.S. Olympic trials. So again, for a lot of these women, this was the first time that we were able to see them compete. And we're going to really focus a lot on the Sha'carri Richardson and her start, what she was able to do, what she was able to accomplish here. Again, she ran 10:83. She actually ended up winning this race. And the main thing that really stands out when we're watching that first action is she does get pretty upwards. I mean, Elaine Thompson, Sha'carri Richardson both get pretty up within that first movement. And from here, I mean, we can see how low Talu is. We could also see how low Melissa Jefferson is. And the thing, though, is that they all get their foot down pretty quickly, and I think do a good job of going outwards. But what stands out with Sha'carri here, and this is something that we saw with, I mean, really a lot of different people, but Xavier Worthy did this as well during his 4.2, which we've had a lot of great times here. This has been a great year for sprinting, but we saw him do a lot of this side-to-side movement, right? And so we're seeing her as she's getting out of here. She's doing a really good job of getting side to side with her head. You can even see how much her head and her ponytail is moving side to side here in comparison to, let's get a little bit further into the race, a lot more stillness in the head in this position, right? But we go back to the beginning, and as she's getting out, we could see a lot of movement happening side to side. And I think this is interesting to be able to consider for a lot of people that are looking to improve their start. What are some things that they could do in order to get more effective within their first few steps? In terms of the arm movement, we could see a lot of action within that left arm going kind of off to the side. Right side, she's pulling more straight back, and she does this pretty well to make it so she's able to create that rhythm, that side to side rhythm. And in my opinion, she really ends up getting into her top speed position pretty early on. And I don't know if this is something that she's been working on in order to achieve and or feels more comfortable getting into this position. But and it could also be because of her size, that she, just her being a little bit shorter. Sha'carri, she's only 5'1". Elaine Thompson is like 5'6". We also have Denny Asher-Smith, who's like 5'5", just to give an idea of like her not being as tall as some of these other women. But and typically what we see is that when athletes are a little bit shorter, they'll get into their top speed a little bit earlier. But like Talu, you could see her, she's really staying down for a good amount of time. So it's definitely unique that she's doing this. She's creating a lot of just pull within her first few steps. So she's creating a lot of extension here. I would say she's going much more like straight downwards into the ground, really focusing on that extension within the knee. Look at how extended she is within that leg as it's striking the ground. And then what is going to just happen is she's going to just continue to open up more and more within her stride, get that toe to be able to come out more and more further and be able to reach all the way out as she's building speed. Now, what's really unique with her is she's very wide with her hands, and she might just have a little bit more broad shoulders for her height, for her size. But regardless of what is the cause, it's just something that is very obvious to be able to see that she's really creating a lot of force going backwards with, again, her broad shoulders. She does create rotation within the spine, but it's really towards more so one side, really creating the rotation to the right side in comparison to the left. The left doesn't really rotate as much, but she's still able to maintain a large stride. Now, obviously, it's very interesting to see Elaine Thompson. I think that going into it, that was really the exciting thing. thing is, last year at this race, or maybe it was 2 years ago, Elaine Thompson was able to run a really great time and beat Sha'carri Richardson, beat Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price. And I think at this track, she also ran her best time ever, if I'm not mistaken. And so it was interesting for her to struggle as much. She ended up coming in last place actually here. And yeah, I mean, I think that Melissa Jefferson is going to be somebody that could potentially be a top contender. Obviously, Talu is going to be somebody that will be up there as well. See how wide her arms are? It's definitely unique where we could see even like Elaine Thompson. Look at how tight her elbows and arms are, right? Where then we see with Sha'carri, she's much wider with her hands. I think that helps create a little bit more rotation. That makes it so you have to be really strong within the core. And I do think that is something that it doesn't get talked about as much or enough, is being able to really stabilize that core with the breathing. Okay. Because when you're sprinting, what has to be happening is there is a exhale within your breath while also being able to really have maximal flexion happening within your core, within your body in general. And I think that that's something that is, especially for younger athletes, not utilized enough, which makes it so they're not running as fast from a younger age. If you're a younger athlete trying to develop speed, what you have to be able to do is understand how to use your breath in order to make it so you can better utilize the core. Those two things have a very, very direct relationship. The diaphragm, it creates a lot of stability within the core. If you just hold your breath and try to, do like a plank or try to press something. I mean, when you're going to lift something, typically you go and you immediately hold your breath. You kind of brace with your core. Very similar when you come into sprinting, especially when you're running like a 100-meter dash. Like you want to be able to have that relationship where you can exhale within your diaphragm, but still be able to achieve maximal flexion. You don't want to lose the ability to utilize your core because you are breathing. And I think, again, a lot of people don't have a great relationship there, and that ends up impacting their ability to run fast. So what happens here, because she's so wide with her arms, is that creates a lot of additional rotation within the core, puts a lot more pressure within the core, within the low back. I'm sure that's something that she's trying to deal with constantly is low back stiffness, low back pain, which then goes into a lot of strength within that area, right? A lot of ability to overcome some obstacles, some difficulty. So because the body, it ends up having to really overcome that additional tightness, additional stiffness, there ends up being much more strength there, or opportunity for strength there. And that's a big part of what she utilizes in order to run fast. Here we'll take a look at some of the times. So you can see 10:83, Julian Alfred again, 10:93, came in second, Dean Asher Smith, 10:98, then Daryl Nita. I mean, a lot of really good times. Obviously, the big surprise is Elaine Thompson at 11:3. She didn't necessarily look bad. It just looked like she didn't get a great start. And that's the thing about this, is like when it comes to running the 100-meter, is you have to be in a good spot in order to really give yourself a chance. She looks like as she was going here, she might have held into her kind of dry phase a little bit too long. She didn't transition into her top speed very well. She looks a little stiff when she's doing it. Like, looks like her hip flexors are not very strong. Like she's not able to really access that part of her body very well, and then therefore not able to generate the same type of foot strike, foot contact, things like that. So, it's going to be something that she's going to be able to, she should be able to bounce back from. She should be able to look at that and say, okay, these are some things that I need to improve. I don't know exactly what kept her out last year, but I mean, it looks like she has a bit of a limp too. Like she's kind of favoring that right side a little bit. Left side looks like she's pretty normal in terms of the foot strike, but the right side she's kind of favoring, kind of dropping that right shoulder down a little bit more. You can kind of tell it's almost like a wincing type of movement pattern that ends up happening when we see something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's something that we definitely want, always rooting for people to be able to succeed. So, hopefully she's able to see it. Hopefully she's able to correct it, understand it, and get better from it, and can get better, more prepared for, the track season at large. I mean, this is the first time she ran in 2024. I think she looked in great shape. I think that there's not a problem in terms of how much she's probably been training. It's just going to be one of those things where she needs to get back in the swing of things. Probably good for her to suffer this loss a little bit and be able to learn from it and get better. So I was super excited about watching this, by the way. I mean, this was a great race. Really cool to be able to see Sha'carri run such a great time and do so well, especially when she was kind of struggling a little bit in the 200 100. But I think that ended up helping her. She talks a little bit about it in the interview. And yeah, I mean, it's always something that we're trying to get better, right? Whether we're sprinting, whether we're coaching, whether we're in whatever areas of our lives we're in, we want to try to be able to improve. We want to be able to identify things. And also, we want to put ourselves out there to be potentially exposed. That's the thing that's beautiful about track and field, in my opinion, in just coaching and doing YouTube is, it gives you that opportunity to be exposed. It gives you that opportunity to really learn about you and who you are and what are some of the things that you can continue to get better at. And there's no better way to get exposed than for putting yourself out there. So yeah, I hope you guys like the channel. Hope you guys like the information. If you do, click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.